Hello, welcome to our channel Elimika Mtandaoni. This is another video on the series of videos explaining on open source software adoption for healthcare organizations. Today we will be talking about open source for healthcare. We'll be talking about different categories of open source software for health. We will be talking about the technologies underlying the development of open source software, the different types of uh, uh, licenses, etc., that are found in the open source software for health care. In fact, open source software gives health organizations flexibility and scalability in their health IT infrastructure, while allowing them to participate in the latest health IT innovations. Health IT infrastructure forms the foundation for everything that is happening in a healthcare organizations, from quality improvement to patient safety to financial sustainability and even business intelligence. Open source software is one promising way that the healthcare organizations can reduce IT infrastructure costs while remaining agile enough to adopt new IT solutions that will enable future improvements in the patient's care and business operations. So in this video, we'll start by talking about open source software for healthcare. What is it? In fact, an open source software for healthcare is any kind of software for healthcare which um, is used within a medical context, and it is used for such activities as diagnosis and therapeutic activities. It is categorized mostly into two main categories. We have open source software for electronic records and medical practice management, and we have open source software for health statistics and health management. Starting with the electronic medical records and the practice management software. This kind of software deal with the day-to-day operations of a medical practice. Such software frequently allow user to capture patients' demographic data. It captures schedules, it captures appointments, but also it maintains a list of insurance payers. It performs billing tasks and even generating reports. Practice management software is often connected to electronic medical records. We call them EMR systems. But while some information in practice management softwares and the EMR overlap, for example, we have patient and provider data, they overlap somewhere. So it's a kind of interconnection, it's a kind of connection between the practice management and the electronic medical records. That's why they have been put in one group. In general, the electronic medical record system is used for the different practices within clinical matters. But when talking about the practice management system, is used for administrative and financial matters. So to differentiate the two, electronic medical records is for clinical matters, but practice management software is for administrative and financial matter. But the integration of these two, electronic medical records and the practice management software, is considered one of the most challenging aspects of the medical practice management software implementation. So for an organization to integrate these two softwares into one has become a challenging thing. These electronic medical records and the practice management software have a number of components. One among the components is appointment scheduling. Practice management systems often include calendaring and scheduling components that allow staff to create and track upcoming patient visits. For example, you want to track patients visits, then you use that module of appointment and scheduling. We have claims and statements. This is also for uh, financial activities and billing. If the patient carries a valid private or public insurance policy, for example NHIF, and the patient has a card for NHIF, then these services, these systems for NHIF, these systems for paying bills in certain hospitals are the ones that we call them practice management software, and that component is what we call claiming and statements, or financial and billing. Also, we have another component that is called the reporting. It is almost invariably that the process of running a medical practice requires some introspection and practice management. So it usually contains reporting capabilities to allow users to extract detailed data on financial performance and patients' information histories. So it produces a number of reports regarding financial issues, produces a number of reports regarding patients' histories and details. So examples of such softwares that follow under practice management and electronic medical records are Clear Health. We have a software called Clear Health. It has a practice management components such as scheduling and billing. We have Hawks XP, that is for financial. We have OpenEMRS. It has no much of practice management, but electronic medical records is there. We have OpenEMRS, that has practice management. We have OpenClinic, and we have FreeMed. Speaking about health statistics and health management, what are these kind of software? These are the software applications that can be used to improve the satisfaction of patients with health services. By doing what? By tracking different dimensions of the service flow that a patient will experience. So it tracks, this kind of software tracks about patient's records and different dimensions of services as they flow during patient visit in a certain hospital. The main goal of health management information system is to record information on health events and check the service quality at different levels of healthcare. It has a lot of benefits, but some of them we can maintain what we call patient sensitivity. Also, it enhances community awareness, but also it improves patient communication. Examples of these softwares, they include Community Health Information Tracking System, CHITS, we have DHIS, we have HRHIS, we have IHRS, and Care2X. So those are the kinds of softwares. Healthcare organizations need to understand what open source software mean and how they can use open source software for their benefit. So it is very significant to the future health IT infrastructure innovations that will save money and help clinicians to treat patients more efficiently. So if we ask ourselves why open source software should be used in healthcare organizations, open source software is the key to fast health IT innovations that will help healthcare to defeat some of its biggest technological challenges, such as interoperability and security. As we have discussed in the past videos, the benefits of open source software. It also gives the organizations the opportunity to implement new technologies while still using the legacy systems. With the open source software, an organization can still be using its legacy system while implementing the new technology. So providers need to adopt an open source software in a way that it allows the organization to build on it and take advantage of the future technology, as well as maintaining the legacy solutions that do not need to be urgently replaced. So an open source software is the best software. Open source software used in healthcare organizations. There are a number of criteria of choosing open source software. It depends on technologies that underlie the development of such software. It depends on the type, whether it is practice management, is electronic management, electronic record system, or it is for statistics, etc. So it depends on the type. Also, it depends on the license that is used in the development. Speaking of open source technologies, we can have technologies that call them operating systems, that they can be Windows, Linux, Mac OS, Unix-like, or cross-platform operating systems. But there are also a number of programming languages that can be used in developing open source software. For example, there is a programming language called the PHP. In fact, it's a general purpose scripting language that is especially suited for web development. And the standard PHP is interpreted and powered by Zend Engine, which is a free software that is released under a license of PHP license. In fact, PHP is a free software that is released under PHP license, and that license says clearly that products derived from this software may not be called PHP, nor may PHP appear in their name without prior written permission from the group at php.net. So among the technologies that are used to develop open source software, one of them is PHP. And in fact, PHP is fundamentally an internet aware system with built-in modules for accessing servers such as file transfer protocol servers and even many other database servers. It includes Postgres, SQL, MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server, SQLite, all those servers. They can be built, their modules can be accessed by PHP. It also allows developers to write different extensions in C so that to add functionalities to the language. There are some open source software that use PHP technology, or they are developed using PHP technology, for example, Clear Health or OpenEMR. We have another programming language called the Python, that can be used in developing open source software for health. We have another programming language called the Delphi. In fact, Delphi is a programming language, and it is also an integrated development environment for rapid application development of desktop, mobile, or web, or even console applications. It is normally called the Object Pascal. It is called the Object Pascal simply because it was originally developed by Boland as the rapid application development tool for Windows, as the successor of Turbo Pascal. If you remember Turbo Pascal, for those who studied programming language called the Pascal. We have Boland Calyx is also another programming language that supports application programming using Object Pascal and C++. We have another programming language which is a general purpose programming language created as an extension of the C programming language. This is C++, and it has expanded this significantly over time, and now currently the C++ is known as object oriented, and it is generic, and it has different functional features in addition that it facilitates the low level memory manipulation. Another programming language which is also general purpose is called the Java programming language. Is also used in developing open source software for healthcare organizations. Now let us go and discuss a number of these open source softwares. for healthcare organizations, starting with OpenEMRS. In fact, this is a collaborative open source project that support delivery of healthcare in developing countries. It is written in Java and runs in operating systems such as Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. It has an electronic medical record, and it uses a license called the Mozilla Public License with healthcare disclaimers. It is found in the website www.openmrs.org. So if you are a health informatician, then you want to understand more about OpenEMRS, then you visit their website so that you can find, in there you will find a number of forums. If you remember, we talked about forums. If you go to openmrs.org, you will get to know their forums. We have another open source software, we call it OpenEMR. It's a medical practice management software which also supports electronic medical records. It features full integrated electronic medical records, also practice management for medical practice, such as scheduling and electronic billing. You can get it in a repository in a GitHub. So you go to github.com/openemr/openemr. It runs in different operating systems such as Linux, Unix-like operating system, Mac OS, Windows. It is also, its type is medical practice management. It is also an electronic medical record. It uses a license of GNU General Public. We call it GPL license. Its website is www.openemr.org, and it uses it is written in PHP. We have another one called the OpenClinic. OpenClinic is an open source software for electronic data capture and clinical data management, used to optimize clinical trial workflow in smart and secure fashion. It runs it is written in a PHP and runs in operating systems such as Linux and Windows. You can find it in github.com openclinica/openclinica, and it is EMR type. We have another open source software for health. It is called Clear Health. It's an open source practice management and electronic medical records, EMR, EHR, PHR system, which is available under GNU General Public License. It is written in PHP and it is a cross-platform. That means it can be implemented on multiple platforms, and it is available in different languages. We call it multilingual, and it is a medical software licensed under GNU GPL. Its website is clearhealth.com. It has features that include scheduling, patient registration, electronic medical records, electronic billing, and electronic reporting. We have another type of open source software for health, which is Community Health Information Tracking System. It's an extensible modular open source for rural health units. This one collects existing routine health data from vertical programs in the field of health services information system, and it integrates them into a unified and comprehensive computerized information system. To understand more about CHITS, visit their website www.chits.ph/. The last open source software for health is the District Health Information System, which is an open source software platform for reporting, analysis, and dissemination of data for all healthcare programs, and it is developed by the Health Information System Program. We call it HISP. It is the type of software falling under Health Management Information System, and it is licensed under two licenses. One is GPL, that was for DHIS 1, and for DHIS 2 now they are using a license called the BSD. The websites where you can get information about DHIS, you visit www.dhis2.org, or you can visit hisp.org or dhispb.com or dhiskp.gov.pk. DHIS2 is developed using open source Java framework and different tools such as the Spring framework, the Hibernate, the Struts, the Maven, and a lot more other technologies. So that is DHIS2. You as health informatician or a person that is interested in open source for healthcare organization, then you have to pass through all these open source software and understand them in details so that you can be competent and you can advise a healthcare organization on which open source software for health to adopt. So it is very important to understand the advantages, the disadvantages of each of these open source software and a lot more others that are available out there, so that in the end, as an expert, you can be able to advise healthcare organization on what type of healthcare software to adopt. So in the coming videos, we'll be talking a lot about open source software, including customizing these open source software. So don't leave the platform, subscribe, put the notification on, because there are a lot to come. And this is Elimika Mtandaoni, and I'm your presenter Agustino Mogos. Ciao.